Welcome back to Powered by Primus, and in today's video we're going to be talking about the Shockwave deck profile that we did build and that we have a lot of fun with. First thing I do want to talk about with this list is that it does play more as a combo deck. So you will probably have to play with it a few times to start to really understand a lot of the interactions, although we're going to go into detail about all those here in just a minute. But the first thing I wanted to talk about is the team. In the first slot, we have Skywarp. Skywarp has 4 attack, 2 armor, 8 health, but most importantly, he costs 6 stars, which is the remaining amount after these two, who are definitely the primary focus of the deck. In addition to that, Skywarp is a ranged plane, which is very important. We will get into that later on. You will rarely be flipping, but if you do happen to flip Skywarp, it has 4 attack, 2 armor, and then when you are defending, with this character specifically, and you flip a white, you can move the damage to a different character. Again, you probably won't really ever be handling that ability or ever really flipping this character. The next character and the entire point of the deck revolves around Shockwave. Shockwave is definitely the highlight of the deck. When you flip to this mode, you get to draw 2 additional cards, which we'll be doing pretty frequently in the deck. It also has 6 attack and 3 armor. And if you flip Shockwave, which this side is going to be the primary side you're going to be handling most of your turns with, it has 4 attack, 3 armor. It says when a card is scrapped from your opponent's hand, you get to deal 1 damage amongst their characters. They get to choose where the damage goes for each card scrapped. So if you do play a card that makes your opponent scrap 4 cards, they would have to do 4 damage divided amongst their characters however they choose. And lastly, rounding out the team, we have Thundercracker. Thundercracker has 4 attack, 1 armor. It is a ranged plane, which again is a big deal. And when you flip to this mode, you get to do 2 damage to a melee enemy. A lot of enemies right now, or a lot of characters that are being played right now, are definitely melee, so it's going to be really, really good. You will get this ability to proc. But you're primarily going to want Thundercracker for this side. This side says whenever you play an action, this gets +1 attack until end of turn. And believe it or not, we had even turns where you can play up to 5 or 6 actions in the turn, so it can get up to 10 or 11 damage on its base attack, which is a lot of fun, and again, works really well with Shockwave. So the first thing we're going to be talking about in the deck is going to be the upgrades, seeing as how there are a lot less of them, and a lot of the action cards are where a lot of the combo for the deck does come into play, so we will get into those later on. The first card we're going to be running is Debilitating Crystal. It is a white battle icon, so it's really nice when flipping while defending. We have very few orange battle icons in the deck. The other part that I've said before in previous videos is that I run 1 Debilitating Crystal in pretty much every deck I have just because of how good the card actually is. Being able to bounce an opponent's upgrade when attacking is really awesome. It helps stall the board so they have to replay the ability. Plus if they do have something such as Force Field or something else that's very pesky in your way when you do attack, this gets it out of your way. The next card coming in as a 2-of is going to be Armed Hovercraft. Armed Hovercraft is a fantastic card. It is a blue battle icon, which is the whole point of the deck. And it says when you do put this on a ranged character, which 2 or 3 characters are ranged, you get to do 1 damage to each enemy. The whole point around this deck, if you haven't seen it yet from Shockwave, is that it's going to be doing a lot of direct damage. So what we want to really focus on is getting the blue battle icons to make sure that our characters last longer so we get more of those combat and more of that direct damage. The next card coming in at a 2-of is going to be Handheld Blaster. Handheld Blaster is primarily in the deck because it is a double blue battle icon, helping our characters last longer. The 2 after that we're going to be bringing in are going to be Force Field. Force Field is a fantastic card, helping keep our characters alive again. It says that if your character were to take more than 5 damage, you get to scrap the Force Field and only take 4 instead. Again, this is going to help our characters live through big attacks. It also does have a white battle icon, so flipping this while defending does allow us to possibly flip more blue battle icons. The next card coming in, which is a must-have in the deck, and is a 3-of, is going to be Multi-Mission Gear. Multi-Mission Gear is an orange battle icon, so flipping it while attacking is okay. Flipping it on defense is obviously going to suck, but it does say that when you play this on a specialist, you get to play 1 additional action. Now this is very, very important, especially if we're doing a lot of our combo turns. You want to be really trying to maximizing how many actions you're playing in a turn. Again, you can even get to a point where you're playing 5 or 6 actions within the turn, and it can do a lot of really fun stuff. It also does give +1 defense. This card will always be going on to Shockwave, seeing as how it's the only specialist, and you really want to maximize that extra action. However, if late game your Shockwave is dead, this does work on any of the other characters, seeing as how it still does give them +1 defense. And lastly, coming in as a 1-of is going to be Energon X. It is a blue battle icon, which we are loving, and it does give us +3 attack, and it does give Pierce 2, helping us just to ensure any extra damage that we are going to need later on if any characters are still alive after all of the direct damage that we will be dealing. Now the next thing that we're going to get into is going to be the action cards. Now we have a lot of these, so we're going to go over all of them. But first off, as a 3-of is going to be Backup Plan. Backup Plan is a white battle icon, which is fantastic, again flipping more when we're going for the defense, but it also allows us to scrap our hand and draw 3 cards. We're going to be using this card later on when we combo off to make sure that we are always refreshing our hand, looking for the cards that we actually need to keep going. In addition to that, if we have a bunch of dead cards in our hand and we can't get to those combo cards, this is going to be a great card to help you scrap your hand, draw more. If you're getting close to that shuffle point, you have to play this and then shuffle your scrap back in. The next 3-of that we have is going to be Plasma Burst. Plasma Burst is obviously an awesome card. It does 2 direct damage to an enemy. The next card we have coming in is going to be Rapid Conversion. We are running it as a 3-of. It does have a white battle icon helping us flip more while defending, but allows us to flip one of your characters to its other mode. We're going to primarily be using this to flip Shockwave into his other mode to allow us to draw 2, and then we can use our normal flip for the turn to flip back if we do have a bunch of more cards to scrap to make our opponent take more damage from its ability. We can also use it onto Thundercracker, so you can flip Thundercracker over, do 2 damage to an opponent, and then you can still flip this back. It will get the +1 because this card will proc on this side of the character, giving it still that +1, so you don't have to worry about losing that attack. Next card coming in as a 3-of is going to be Incoming Transmission. Incoming Transmission is an orange battle icon, so it's okay to flip on attacking, bad to flip on defense, but it's primarily in here for its ability. It allows us to draw 2 cards and then put 1 from our hand on top of our deck. One thing that we're going to be doing specifically, which we'll get back to this card here in just a second, is really stacking our deck to make sure that we keep comboing off by playing more of our actions in a turn. It also does let us help draw 2 cards, so we get to dig a little deeper to make sure that we're ready for our big turns. The next card coming in as a 3-of, and absolutely as one of the best cards in here, is going to be System Reboot. System Reboot is a white battle icon, again flipping more for defense, and it says each player scraps their hand and draws 4 cards. This is going to be really good and is the most damage dealing card that you have in the deck because of Shockwave while in his robot mode. The other benefit to it is that you get to scrap your own hand as well and draw 4 more cards, which allows you to keep playing more stuff, trying to get to the next card to be able to play. Also, I seem to have a really bad habit of getting more than 1 in my hand, which is where Incoming Transmission comes into play. If you are getting more than 1 action in a turn, you get to go ahead and play Incoming Transmission, draw 2, and then put one of your System Reboots on top of your deck. That way when you do play your System Reboot, you get to draw your second copy. You don't have to worry about scrapping one of your System Reboots. Coming in with another 3-of, we're going to have Security Checkpoint. Security Checkpoint has double blue icons, which is absolutely awesome for the deck, but it says each player reveals their hand and scraps all upgrades from it. As you can see in our list, we don't have very many upgrades, and if you do have an upgrade, you've probably played it for the turn, so this is usually going to be a free card for us, and will always deal damage to your opponent, assuming that you have Shockwave in the correct mode. Coming in with a 2-of, which works really well with Security Checkpoint, is going to be Disarm. Disarm does have a little bit of a fun factor to it as well. So the first thing you get to do is return all upgrades on a character to their owner's hands. One thing that you can do with the 2 actions if you do get one of the cards to proc is that you can return your opponent's actions to their hand, and then you can play Security Checkpoint to make sure that you make them discard them, take damage as long as, again, Shockwave is in the right mode. But you can also play Disarm on yourself. Really fun part is to be able to return the Armed Hovercraft back to your hand if your opponent doesn't have any upgrades, and then you can replay Armed Hovercraft to, again, do 1 more damage to your opponents. The next is a 3-of and is by far the key character in the entire deck. These 2 together are going to be your best friends. It is Brainstorm. Brainstorm blue battle icon. It says you may play an additional action and then you may play an additional action. So what will happen is you'll get to play this as your action for the turn. You will gain 2 actions. If you happen to play another Brainstorm, which is what I'm going to tell you, you always want to try to have 2 Brainstorms, or you want to try to have a multi-mission gear and a Brainstorm so you can really start to get the wheels turning. If you can play those 2 and draw into another one, you can start to get absolutely insane numbers of actions in a turn. But again, with that, you play this for the turn, you have 2 available. If you happen to use one of them to play another Brainstorm, you now have 2 more, so you have a total of still 2 remaining and have played 2. Again, you go for a third one, you go for a multi-mission gear or whatever else, you start to really hit those high number of actions, being able to hit multiple system reboots or play a couple of system reboots, and then you get to play a backup plan to get more back into your hand, plasma bursts, which is really going to get Thundercracker up to high amounts of attack because of the number of actions you're going to be playing. But if you also have them both in the same mode, you're going to be dealing a bunch of damage to your opponent while also getting more attack with your Thundercracker. Coming in as a 2 of is going to be Bombing Run. Bombing Run is a great card. It's a blue battle icon. It essentially will act as 2 damage and maybe even late game 1 damage. But what it says is you get to choose an enemy character, move 1 damage from each of your planes to that enemy. Again, we have 2 planes with Skywarp and with Thundercracker, so if they both do damage, this essentially is a blue battle icon, Plasma Burst. The next card coming in as a 2 of is going to be Disruptive Entrance. It is a blue battle icon. It allows us to look at your opponent's hand and scrap an action from it. Again, being able to play an action, getting Thundercracker more buffed, and also using it with Shockwave to do 1 damage to your opponent. It also helps clear out actions from your opponent's hand, making sure that they don't have anything nasty planned for you, or if there's something very specific you're trying to go for, such as ISO functions, this will get all of those out of your opponent's hand. And the last card we have coming in is 2 Inspiring Leaderships. Inspiring Leadership is a blue battle icon. It allows you to draw 3 cards and then scrap 2 from your hand. There are definitely some cards that you don't need to have multiples of in your deck, so scrapping the 2 is usually pretty easy with it, but it's primarily to let us draw 3 to really help us dig for those brainstorms and those system reboots so we can make sure that we're hitting our explosive turns. The next thing I wanted to talk about and show you guys was essentially how you want to start your hand, or start your turns, my apologies. You usually want to make sure that turn 1, you get to flip Shockwave into his correct mode. This is the mode that you're primarily going to want him in to make sure that you get to use all of those scrap abilities. However, if you happen to have a bad hand and don't have a lot of cards in your hand, it's really nice to have him in this mode right away because the following turn, you can always flip him back to let each player draw 2. When they have to draw 2 as well, System Reboot means that it'll probably be doing 2 more damage to them, so it's never a bad thing to give your opponent more cards. It also works well with Security Checkpoint. You essentially have 2 more cards to dig through to hope that they got upgrades. So again, turn 1, you're going to be flipping over Shockwave into his robot mode, and you're going to be attacking with Skywarp. Skywarp is going to be definitely your main target, will probably not live very long, and I've even seen Skywarp get 1 shot, but what this does is at least protects your other 2 characters and allows you 1 more turn to set up. Now depending on what your hand looks like, it may depend if you're ready to go for your big turn or if you're not. Now if your hand is something such as this, which would be the ideal situation and is actually kind of common, you're going to be ready to flip Thundercracker into his robot mode. You're going to be able to play Brainstorm, which is going to give you access to 2 more actions for the turn. You're going to give a Thundercracker +1. You're going to be able to play your multi-mission gear on your Shockwave, which is going to give you access to 3 more actions. And then you're going to go ahead and play something such as System Reboot. System Reboot is going to allow you to scrap your hand, which at this point would be 0, and draw 4 more. You'd probably get about 4 damage off of Shockwave. I did shuffle this deck to try this out, just to show you guys. We would draw 4, still have 2 actions available for the turn. So with these 2 actions, you'd be able to play something such as another Brainstorm, which would still give you 2 more actions and another +1 to Thundercracker. And then you can play Backup Plan, scrap those 2, draw 3 more cards, and still have 1 more action to play. You'd be able to disarm your opponent if they did play something from their hand, or you can do something as Bombing Run, moving 1 damage over. Let's say we're going to go with the disarm, just to put something back into your opponent's hand, and as you can see, you just did 5 actions, and now Thundercracker is going to be at that 10 damage mark. Not to mention you just did 4 damage with your Shockwave, and then you would be attacking with your Thundercracker, doing quite a bit of damage. Now after you get to attack, yes, you're going to have 2 of those left in your hand, and you're kind of going to be low. You're going to draw for your next turn. Depending on what it is, you can play your incoming transmission, but if you don't have anything to scrap on your opponent's turn, this would be the time for you to flip the Shockwave and draw 2 more additional cards, getting ready for another big turn coming up. You get to attack with Shockwave like normal, straighten, your Skywarp will most likely be dead at this point, and we'll assume it is, and now it'll come back to your turn, where you're going to be ready to go again with another big turn. you would probably flip your Shockwave and try to do as much as you can. Here, be playing a Brainstorm, and then I'd probably be going into an incoming transmission and so on and so forth. But I did want to show you guys that it does have pretty explosive turns. It can be a lot of fun, and it is actually pretty consistent. You just really have to hope that you are digging to getting your Brainstorms. Without Brainstorms, your multi-mission gears are decent, but it does definitely slow down the deck. So you always want to be trying to get to this card as fast as possible. And the last thing that I did want to tell you guys about this deck is that Skywarp is currently in its spot for what it does and is going to be great. But as I've already seen for Wave 2 stuff, I will be swapping Skywarp out for Dive Bomb. Dive Bomb is one of those Predacons, and it says when you flip to this mode, you get to scrap an action from your opponent's hand, and it is a 5-star cost. So with swapping this out to another 5-star cost character, it does allow us 1 extra star for one of those battle cards, such as Bolt of Lightning, and then still being able to get another really cool perk by scrapping an enemy action, which is going to make Shockwave that much better. So there you guys go. I hope you guys do enjoy the video. If you do, a like would be greatly appreciated. Like I said, it is a very fun deck. It is very fun when it does combo off and you get to do quite a bit of damage with your characters. In addition, it is also a budget-friendly deck. So if you really don't want to go out there and spend big bucks on a lot of characters, these are easily accessible via the packs. Shockwave is very cheap still, and I think the most expensive card in the deck is the 1 Energon Axe anyway. So again, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you're new to the channel for more, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.